So, Dad, we were talking about we were taking some questions from the people. So we're going to do a couple of questions here that people have did on your Twitter and on Rock'em Sock'em Facebook page. So we'll do the first one's from Rick O'Donnell. It says, Don, I'd like to hear your comments on Bill, Mr. Oiler Hunter, and not being elected to the Hall of Fame. In 1999, numerous Hall of Fame people made an application for his entry as a founder of the WHA and the Edmonton Oilers.
Can you imagine? I mean, here's a guy, his whole life was hockey. I knew him personally. I met him, when I first met him at a banquet. And I remember he'd come up to me and he'd give me a few hints and stuff like that. But here's a guy that he formed the Edmonton Oilers, believe it or not, and the WHA, and then they went into the National Hockey League. And we almost had St. Louis move to Regina, and I was going to be the coach.
That's what I remember. That was his big push, was trying to get, now that you remember that, was trying to get a team in Regina. Yeah.
Oh, and he was in hockey before that. His whole life was hockey. That's all he did. And he said, come on out. So we went out and saw the arena beautifully. And I said, well, it's too small. And he said, we're going to put seats all in the end there. And he was going to have about 16,000 people be through. And I said, well, gee, that's it. Not. He says, the people in the West, he says, they think nothing of driving 200, 100 miles to see a game. And he says, that's the way it is out here. And, absolutely ridiculous that he's not in the Hall of Fame. His whole life was hockey. I mean, it won't be like Pat Burns. Remember when Pat Burns, he wanted to get into coach when he was alive. They could have voted him in, and he died that summer, and they put him in the next year when he was dead. I guess his coaching improved over the. Anyhow, well, if he's not in, how about Pat Verbeek? Pat Verbeek. I mean, this is ridiculous. 522 goals, and he's not in. 500. You're going to say he's only a goal scorer. He had 541 assists.
Man, well, for builders, just to say, like, and they always say, well, the Hall of Fame's not for just the NHL. Well, you said Bill Hunter was really big in getting the WHA going.
WHA, Edmonton Oilers, and that's how they were in there now. Ricky Milton. How about Ricky Milton? 500 goals, and he's not in either. And the guy that I thought should have been in was Dale Hunter. Dale Hunter. I mean, I think he played. How many games he played? But I asked him. I said to him one time. I said, "How come you're not in the Hall of Fame?" And he answered it very good. He said, "They're not my type of people." Or he's not one of them.
Yeah, he's not their type of people.
Yeah, and he played 19 years in the league. He was an all-star. I think he had 3,500 over 3,500 minutes and penalties. And remember the time he hit the Pierre Turgeon?
I think that's the thing that kept him out of the Hall of Fame right there.
They were getting beat. Washington was really getting beaten by the Islanders, I think it was.
Right. Yeah.
And when you scored the 6th goal, I
think it was an open net he scored.
He put a stick in the air and dancing around, and out of the corner on the left-hand side of the TV, I saw Dale going over. I said, "Oh no!" And I said to myself, "Oh no, Dale, don't!" And he cross-checked him, and that was the end. And I think Gary Bettman gave him 20 games. It's the only time he's there. 20 games for the next year. And I said, Turgeon is not hurt that if they get by the next round, he'll play. By gall, he did. And Pierre Turgeon did. And he's playing. And Dale Hunter's there. Anyhow, Dale never made the Hall of Fame. So what can you say? But, Bill Hunter lived his whole life in hockey, and he's
one of those guys behind the scenes that should be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, absolutely.
From Susan P. If you could, would you go back to the one referee system?
The funny thing is, people talk about that all the time, and off the record they say there should be one referee. But you know why I like the one referee is it has a feel for the game. He has a feel for the game, and you and I go. And believe it or not, the GTHL all season has one referee, and you can see that he has a feel for the game. And then when they come to playoffs, they have two. The reason, they know when to give a penalty. Now, for instance, if you have two referees and you have one referee giving them a lot of penalties and the other referee's giving no penalties, they look at the end of the game. And I remember Red Story. He was one of the best referees when I first started out. And you were on a borderline penalty with a high stick or something. He'd come up behind you and say, "Okay, number 2, one more and you're gone." And so he had a feel for the game. And when you get into the playoffs and with one referee, you knew what to do. Now, for instance, you'd say the referees how can they control a game? I'll tell you how they can control a game. If we get up 5-1 or 4-1 or something like that, you get 3 or 4 penalties. You get 3 or 4 penalties in a row. And one time we got 4 penalties, and I said to Wes McCauley, I said, "Wes, that's enough." He says, "Yeah, he just..."
John McCauley. John McCauley.
Oh, I am. I call him, I don't know, now I'm calling John McCauley Wes, and I'm calling John Wes. And that's his son, Wes McCauley, that's coaching puts on a pretty good show, doesn't he?
Yeah, no, he's one of the more colorful referees.
Yeah, I like when he calls a penalty or something like that. He's pretty good. Anyhow, I remember John McCauley coming over to me in the playoffs, and he did not want to call a penalty in the playoffs because that's the way the referees used to be one. And he said, "Don't embarrass me." And I knew exactly what he meant was, don't pull a guy down and going for a goal. Don't have an automatic penalty in a row right in front of him, and he'd call it. So yeah, I like the one referee. I know the reason that they had 2 referees is they felt one of them would miss a guy from behind.
So now 2 of them miss a guy from behind.
But here we talked about this last week. The guy 60 feet away called a penalty on Ben. And the guy standing right next to him didn't call a penalty. I don't understand their thinking anyhow. And so the question from Susan P., do I believe in one referee? Most people believe in the one referee. They won't say it because they just won't say it. I'll say it. I believe in one referee.
Well, Dad, we'll get to some more questions next week.
Yeah.
And Cindy, you got some updates on Coach's Closet.
Yes, this past Tuesday. Okay, we wrapped it up, Dad. And boy, there was a lot of great bids out there. And we raised $30,000 for Don Cherry's Pet Rescue Foundation.
Isn't that something?
And it'll all be distributed. Yesterday, that's what I did yesterday too. I wrote around 4 or 5 checks to rescues across Canada.
Good for you.
And John at the Coop, he's wrapping everything up for you, signing the jackets and pictures and things like that. So anyway, want to thank everyone out there for taking an interest, right?
In this day and age, with the virus or whatever you want to call it, and everything shut down, I really want to thank the guys and the gals, whoever it was that bought that, give the money, and 100% goes to the 100%. I just tell you, every cent goes to the pets and the dogs and the cats and everybody. We don't keep a penny of it, and you did a lot of hard work, you and John the Coop, and terrific. And I'm so happy. But I want everybody to know that 100% goes to the foundation.
That's right. But thanks to you, Dad, for cleaning out. Well, you said you donated.
Not cleaning out.
No,
I love my jackets.
You love your jackets.
I go in my cedar closet, and that's where I keep my beer.
Is it hard to give up some of those jackets?
It is.
It is. It's
I keep thinking I'm going to make a comeback.
You're like a lot of. Will I ever wear this again?
Well, everybody's saying we should do this on video. And because everybody says we miss your jackets, we want to do the podcast on a video.
Oh, I don't know how to do that. But some of them they were great jackets, and I take them down and if they weren't right, I'd give John heck, and they'd have to. And don't forget, we give them my shirts away, and my ties,
yeah,
and my cufflinks.
Your cufflinks right out of your jewelry
Yeah.
box, and you know what really went for big money was the Rough Riders jacket. Remember they did that custom made jacket for you, and that went for.
I got a
good
Bruin
penny.
jacket the next time.
Oh, that would be now the Bruins made that for you. How did that go?
I don't know. I don't know how I got that.
Yeah,
I think Deborah down at the Coach's Corner gave it to me.
Dad, I want to mention our sponsor, Spreads.ca. It's owned by the Abenaki Council of Willownack First Nations, and they're an online casino and sportsbook. And if you sign up today and use the promo code GRAPES, they'll match your deposit 100%. So if you put $25 down, they'll give you $25, and you get 15 free spins on a kind of a slot machine. And if you get, I think, 3 of your jackets, you can win some big dough. And they get a $25, and if you're going to bet $25 on the sports bet, they'll give you $25 free to bet on it. So
all right, sounds good.
Yeah, kind of sports though. I think the only sport I'm going to be betting on and watching is the Yankee Tampa Bay baseball.